Hey YouTube, Jeremy right here, checking out. This is Tank A. It's a 55-gallon Central American planted aquarium, mostly stocked with guppies. There is an ancistrus catfish. There are some snails in here, but for the most part, this is North American, Central American stuff, and it's kind of interesting. There's a lot of plant matter in this tank. Lots and lots of guppy grass, anacharis, Elidea densa. There is Physidens fontanus, which is known as phoenix moss, growing in some cool little spots. That's worth showing you a close up, I do believe. So, on the rock back there, there's a little bit of Physidens. It generally wants more light than this tank is providing it. But Physidens has been growing in this tank for 2 to 3 years. It's all down in the bottom area down here. That's Physidens fontanus. And there's grasses, guppy grass. There is some Evolutionary toward the back. You can sort of see it growing up there. It's very characteristic of Evolutionary. It almost looks like packaging tape. And by that I'm talking about like this bit that's growing up through there. And see what I mean by packaging tape? It's kind of got a striated look and it's sort of translucent. And apologies, I've got a cold right now, so my voice is going to be a little bit muted and difficult to understand. This is Sagittaria grass up front. Most people in the aquarium hobby would call this dwarf Sagittaria, or just Sagittaria grass. This tank in the past had chain swords growing in the front area. And yeah, lots and lots of guppies in here. So let's see if we can count guppies. You want to count guppies with me? Let's see. We'll start here. Yeah, okay, there's a lot, and a lot more, and some more, and a lot more. Oh, and a lot more. Okay, so we're up into the 100 and something now, and this is half the tank. Let's go look at the other half. Oh, there are a bunch more. A bunch more. And a few more. And then some more. And let's see. We can't see any in the back, so let's say for the front of the tank we saw, I don't know, 100 and something in the front of the tank, and then there's the back of the tank. So guppies will be coming out of this area, this tank. I've already started that process of removing some of the guppies from this tank. So I've had this aquarium back in my house for right at 6 months now, and it's to the point where it's heavily producing guppies again. So let's just, pick a spot. Zooming. So, lots and lots of babies. They take anywhere from 6 months to a year to become, sizable. I don't feed this tank as much as I could. First off, let's just take a moment to take in the difference between animal mass and plant mass. Not volume, mass. So yeah, the plants are much more voluminous, but are they that much more massive? And I would personally say yes. They're going to end up being much more massive in this tank than are the animals, but there's just a lot of opportunity for fish wastes to be utilized quickly. Like this tank has, it trends to 0 nitrate and phosphate. And this tank only, it doesn't get fertilizer, it gets only fish food. So this is what we would call an aquaponic planted aquarium. A la nature, it gets fish food. And I'm not going to nature for all the fish food. I feed them flakes and stuff. I feed them live food. I feed them other things. But for the most part, it's early winter. I haven't been feeding these guys live foods regularly in 3 months. September, well, October was probably, yeah, but 2.5 months ago, I stopped regularly feeding these guys live food from outside in the form of mosquito larvae. Guppies in their natural environment eat lots and lots and lots of mosquito larvae, mosquitoes, baby mosquitoes underwater. And that's one of their primary food sources are these aquatic early stage larval and nymph phase insects while they're still living an aquatic life, and they're predated by small fish like guppies. In fact, in our part of the world, my part of the world, which is the southeast United States, we have 2 species of mosquito fish, or the eastern and western gambusia, and they are known just for that, mosquito-eating fish. And if you are to look at them, they look just like silver guppies or silver endlers. It's very difficult to see any morphological changes. Now there's color differences. Again, I apologize for being stuffy and yawning, but there's not all that much difference between the gambusia and other live bearers like guppies, platies, mollies. They have the same body shape. You can really tell that they're closely related. They do not crossbreed, to my knowledge. Guppies will crossbreed with endlers readily, probably some other live bearers, but it's postulated that there's as much as 500,000 years of separation between guppies and endlers. I don't know that that's accurate or true. I think it's probably more like 20,000 years or 12,000 years. Remember, we had a massive change to the structure of the world approximately 12,500, 600 years ago with the Younger Dryas event and the Great Flood event. So anything that was prior to those, we're not really sure. I mean, this was a massive thing that rearranged literally the face of the planet. If you're not knowledgeable about this stuff, I would highly recommend learning some about it, because if you care about ecology, this is one of the last global events that was sort of a shuffling of the deck, so to speak. So we had a major change in global sea levels. They rose about 300 feet. This is well known, well documented. You can see it anywhere in the world because it happened across the world. So did biologists really account for this when they said, oh, looking on the map, we see that these species over here, the Endler's live bearer versus the guppies, they're separated by this distance. I don't know that sort of thing was taken into account. For the most part, that is newer science that hasn't percolated through the other fields of science. It's not new, right? Like every civilization on the planet knows about the flood tale. We go so far as to call it like global flood myths because they're well known. They're in our legacy, our mythology. But were they really mythology? I don't think so. I think it's more like truth that people are sharing, and they kept sharing it because they wanted us to know the reality of what had come before. So just taking some of that into consideration, it's hard to know truly how much separation there would be between different groups of similar fish. Maybe they got mixed up. Maybe they didn't. Maybe the common ancestor is much more recent than we previously understood. But guppies are particularly fascinating. They are very adaptable. I'm told that there are places that they have established or naturalized in the waters of Idaho, in New England, up along the eastern seaboard of the United States, throughout the southeast United States, and certainly Florida. Without question, you can go to Florida and find guppies down in the drainage ditches and such. I would actually love to do a little fishing trip and just go to the canals and drainage ditches in central and southern Florida and just see what sort of tropical fish that are non-native to southern and central Florida can be found. I would not be the first person to do this. However, if that's something you have interest in, let me know. It's definitely something I'll be doing. I just don't know how recent or soon in the future that will happen. I've also got a Nicaragua trip that I've been wanting to do. I want to film a documentary down there on some tropical aquatics. So if that's something you have interest in, also let me know. But it doesn't matter. I'm going to do that. It just may take me a while. Hoping it's sooner than later, though. But yeah, this is Tank A. This is kind of a different type tank talk. It wasn't going to be a tank talk, but I think I'll put this in the tank talk series. But yeah, this is a 55-gallon natural substrate. By that I mean it has soil, mixed soil, under pool filter sand. And very little hardscape on top of that. There are like 2 large rocks in this tank. Now that is a significantly large rock for an aquarium, right? Over here, let's see if I can get that reflection away. There's another large rock. There are some twisted hardwood vines that are in this tank. They've been in there for years. They're not soft. They're not going away. They're hardwood vines that I actually collected near the stream in my backyard. And yeah, this is it's truly a North American tank, even though it's got some weird stuff like Evolutionary grass in it. Otherwise, it's relatively true to form. I need to do a little bit of tank maintenance. It's pretty jungly in there. Honestly, I like it that way. It's very conducive to raising and fostering a guppy colony like this. But I'm to the point where I've begun to selectively pull out guppies for selective breeding and place them in small tanks. And I always feel like that's kind of risky, but I'm trying to preserve a line of gups that I bred here. And yeah, I think they're going to do well, but it's probably going to be 6 months or so before I really see those fry start to develop out. And yeah, definitely some interesting stuff in this tank, though. Interesting mix of guppy genetics, mostly yellows, oranges, and reds, and we were going for orange. All the same,
Tell me what you think in the comments. I'll catch you later. Give me a like or subscribe if you enjoy this sort of thing.